INEOS reportedly disappointed with Erik ten Hag's tactics and demanding change if he is to keep his job, plus massive updates on Tyrell Malacia and Lenny Yoro's injuries. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this evening's show. But before we get into that, please do me one small favour, smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 1,000 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. Currently, only 50% of people who watch our videos are subscribed. So if you're one of those who isn't subscribed, make sure you get involved. Everyone is welcome. Right. Let's start the show off by talking a little bit about Malacia. The man that seemed to have disappeared last season. The man that hasn't played any first-team football since, I believe, well, it's been over a year, definitely. I can't remember the exact date. I think it was April last year. The last time we saw Tyrell Malacia in a Manchester United shirt, which is absolutely mad, isn't it? Let me get the exact date for you. So the last time he played was on May the 28th, 2023. So what's that, 16 months ago? Something like that. But the headline this evening is that apparently Malacia has been included in Manchester United's 25-man squad for the Europa League. And apparently he is expected to return to first-team football at some point in October. So whether that's the beginning or the end, obviously we don't know. The same with Luke Shaw and the same with Lenny Yoro. Well, I'll talk about those two players in depth in a little bit from now. But I just hope and pray that Malacia, still can have a career. Whether he's good enough for Manchester United is kind of out of the question at the moment. The question now is whether he can even play football again. He hasn't played for 16 months. That's mad. Even when a player does their ACL, they're out for like 5 months. He's been out for 16 months. I would say that's been one of the longest injuries that I've seen, especially at Manchester United. I mean, if you look at Luke Shaw, for example, right? Luke Shaw broke his leg, didn't he? Had that horrible injury where his leg bent backwards. And even then, when that happened, when was that? That was in 2015, I believe. Yeah, so even Luke Shaw, when that happened to him, he was only out for 10 months. And he literally completely broke his leg. Fractured his leg, all sorts of horrible things, right? And he was out for 10 months. Malacia has been out for 16 months and he's still not going to be back for another month. So I don't know if we'll ever really find out the truth about what happened to Malacia. Some people saying that he had surgery and it was done badly. Other people are saying other things. At the moment, it's all speculation. But I would say this. I hope Malacia comes back. I hope he comes back fit and strong. And I hope he contributes to this team because I think in his first season, I thought he shows glimmers. I don't know if I ever thought he was good enough to be a starting player for Man United, but I think he's definitely a good squad player to have. So yeah, hopefully, this addition of him to the Europa League squad is an indication that he will be back very, very soon. So yeah, I'll keep you updated on that one, but it does look like Malacia will be back. Hopefully in October. Moving on to Lenny Yoro really quickly. Same with Lenny Yoro. He is now off the leg brace thing, that he's off the crutches. We should start to see Lenny Yoro coming back into training, I think, in the next couple of weeks. Obviously, it's the international break at the moment. He's continuing to, get fitter, to get stronger at Carrington. Obviously, he's not gone on international duty. Same with Rasmus Højlund. Rasmus Højlund is back as well. And both players are expected to be back, hopefully, Rasmus Højlund in time for the Southampton game on the 14th of December, and Lenny Yoro hopefully, again, end of September, early October. So it's looking positive for Manchester United. By the time we get into the real crunch point of the season where, you have 3 games a week, hopefully we'll have Lenny Yoro, Malacia, Luke Shaw, Manuel Ugarte in the team, Højlund. So yeah, I'm feeling quite positive about what's to come in the next kind of month or so, but at the moment obviously it is a little bit concerning. Let's see who's in the chat tonight. Welcome everyone who has just joined. I hope you're all doing well. Obviously just provided a bit of an update on the Malacia and Lenny Yoro situation. I want to now talk a little bit about the manager. I know everybody's got an opinion on the manager, so obviously you can get in the comment section now. Let me know your thoughts on Erik ten Hag. Do you think he will still be the Manchester United manager at the end of this season? I'm going to give you my answer, and then I'm going to give you my answer in relation to what I want. Do I think Erik ten Hag will still be here at the end of the season? I'm going to be honest, I don't. I'm very much Erik ten Hag in, right? He has my full backing, but I personally don't think he's going to last till the end of the season, to be honest. And call that whatever you will. The people who want Erik ten Hag to stay, let me explain why. And those that want you out are probably all sat there cheering, saying, finally, Kieran's coming to terms with the fact that Erik ten Hag's good enough and not good enough. And it's not really so much that. I just think that, INEOS have come in. INEOS clearly were looking at other managers. And if results don't go his way, which they're not at the moment, then I don't know. I just don't think they'll keep him, especially when there's Gareth Southgate available. Now, just to be very, very clear, I don't want Gareth Southgate anywhere near Manchester United, but we know for a fact that Dan Ashworth is a massive fan of Gareth Southgate. He was there. They worked together when Dan Ashworth worked for the FA. So he's a massive fan of Gareth Southgate. And if you look at the odds at the moment on the bookies, at the moment, Gareth Southgate is the favourite to become the next Manchester United manager. He's quite a clear favourite as well. In second place, you've got Thomas Tuchel. Then you've got Kieran McKenna. Then you've got De Zerbi. I don't think Kieran McKenna from Ipswich would make much sense, personally. I don't think De Zerbi from Marseille would make much sense because you'd have to give them massive compensation packages. Whereas Gareth Southgate is available. He's free. It would cost Man United nothing. I honestly think that if we went for Gareth Southgate, it would set us back years and years and years and years. And I think that the thing with me is, right, I'm not a huge fan of Erik ten Hag. It's not so much even that. I think my main thing is that I look at the situation that we've had over the last kind of 2 or 3 years, and I've at no point thought there was a better manager available. That's my honest opinion. You might disagree. I just personally don't think there's a better manager available at the moment who we could go and get, because the people who are currently available is like Gareth Southgate and Thomas Tuchel, and I think both of those would be a risk, and I don't think both of those guarantee us anything better than what we've got already. Whereas if I was to say to you, right, hypothetically, that Pep Guardiola's decided he wanted to join Manchester United, obviously that's never going to happen, but you get the point I'm making here. A manager of that quality, a Carlo Ancelotti, a Jurgen Klopp, an elite tier manager. If that was a genuine option, of course I'd do it. Of course I would, without even a blink in the eye. I would have done that in the summer. But it was never an option, and that's why I'm kind of backing Erik ten Hag, because I think, when you look at the other people that are available, we can all sit here and scream Erik ten Hag out, or, you can have all these people who are screaming Erik ten Hag out. But when you look at the options that are available to us, there is nothing better at the moment. And I'm going to stick with that, I think, for the most of the season. But as I've said to you on previous videos, when you look at the next kind of 3 or 4 fixtures, you've got Aston Villa away, you've got Crystal Palace away, you've got Tottenham at home, and you've got Southampton away. I mean, all 4 of those fixtures are difficult. Obviously, you'd expect Man United to beat Southampton, but you never know in football. Aston Villa away, very difficult game. Crystal Palace away, extremely difficult game. We lost 4-0 there last season. And Tottenham at home, I think we drew at Old Trafford against Tottenham last season. I'm actually going to that game, so that'll be good. But the point I'm making here is, right, obviously we've got 3 points out of the last 9 games. And the next 4 games, in my opinion, are pretty difficult. You've got 3 away fixtures, and then you've got Tottenham at home. Like, none of those games are going to be easy. And our away record under Erik ten Hag has been quite poor. So I think it's a massive month for Erik ten Hag. And I think that, the longer it goes on, the harder it's going to be for him. And the fact that, there are journalists coming out today saying that apparently INEOS are not happy with the style of play or the tactics that they're seeing when Erik ten Hag's playing, and they're even going as far as saying that they're disappointed in what they see. I understand that. I mean, we're all disappointed, aren't we? Like, I do think we have seen improvements though this season versus last in relation to our playing style. I do think we look better, but at the end of the day, football is a results business, and at the moment, losing 3-0 at home to Liverpool, and Liverpool didn't even look like they were trying really. Like, it got into the second half, they were 3-0 up, and they thought like, oh, let's just, defend. Like, we're not really that bothered. Which was a little bit embarrassing. I think if Liverpool had been at full strength and full form, let's say, they probably could have beaten us 5 or 6-0 in that game quite comfortably. So that's obviously a concern. But I think, there's a lot of work for Erik ten Hag to do. There's a lot of work for these players to do. I still think that our biggest hope of a trophy this season is obviously the Europa League. I think that's kind of the one we have to go for. You look at the teams in the Europa League, and like the best teams in the Europa League are like Tottenham or Porto or teams like that. Which, no disrespect to them, but you would expect us in a one-off game to be able to beat any of those teams. Whereas in a 38 game Premier League season, like, I think we find it very difficult to be consistent. I think our heads drop. So yeah. Let's see what people are saying in the chat, though. Somebody says we should bring in Zidane or Nagelsmann. The thing is, right, Nagelsmann would be a great option, but he's not leaving the German national team. That's what I'm saying. He's not available. So if you sack Erik Ten Hag, you can't bring in Nagelsmann because he doesn't want to leave the German national team. People saying bring in Zinedine Zidane. I don't know. I do like Zinedine Zidane. I think he's obviously a good manager. He's a legend of the game, all the rest of it. But I'm not certain that if you bring in Zinedine Zidane, like everything suddenly, goes from here to here. I don't know. I mean, I don't think he can even speak English, can he? Maybe that's not a problem, but, would Manchester United hire a manager who can't speak English? I don't know. Maybe they would. I'm not sure. But the other thing as well is it doesn't seem like Zidane even wants to go back to management. Like, when was the last time Zinedine Zidane managed a football match? It must have been, 4 years ago, 5 years ago? Let's have a little look. So the last time Zinedine Zidane managed was in June 2021. So over 3 years ago since he last managed a football game. And the only team he's ever managed is Real Madrid. He was there from 2016 to 2018 and then came back in 2019 to 2021. So in his career, he's only actually managed about 250 games of professional football. Obviously, he was the assistant for Carlo Ancelotti at Real Madrid as well. So, yeah, obviously he has been around football for a long time, obviously, Zidane. And, we know that he's one of the greatest players, in world football, or was in world football. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure that Zidane's this option that's going to take us from here to here. So that's why I think effectively INEOS decided to stick with Erik Ten Hag in the summer because they looked around and thought, what, there isn't really any other options. But I think, as I've said to you before, it really depends on how far Manchester United fall down that table. If we don't get results in the next 4 games, it could look really, really bad for Erik Ten Hag, couldn't it? And that's kind of what my point is here. Not only are we wanting results, but we're expecting to see a style of play. And so far this season, I think our style of play has been better, but we're still not quite there yet. And we have to hope that Manuel Ugarte is the missing piece of the puzzle. We have to hope that, when Højlund comes back, we start getting some goals. Because at the moment, we've scored 2 goals, is it? Yeah, we've scored 2 goals in 3 games and we've conceded 5. So, yeah, and we haven't even played like a Man City or an Arsenal. Obviously, we played Liverpool. They're a decent side. We've played Brighton. We have played some hard teams, to be fair. Like, we haven't played any of the bottom teams yet. We've played teams that probably will finish. I think all of the teams we've played so far, Fulham, Brighton, and Liverpool, are all going to finish in the top 10. Would we agree on that? So we haven't played any of the Ipswiches or the Evertons or the Leicesters or the Southamptons. Like, we haven't played any of those teams yet. So I think the real test is going to be when we play them. It's like, we have to make sure that we beat every single team in the bottom 10, home and away, realistically, don't we? Like, that has to be the very, very bare minimum. Because the teams in the top half of the table, so far, we've lost to both of them. We've lost to a Liverpool and we've lost to a Brighton. So we've got to go get 3 points against like the Evertons, the Southamptons, Wolves, Ipswich, Crystal Palace. I say that Crystal Palace is going to be a difficult game, I think. I don't think we're, going into that game with a divine right that we will win. But it'll be interesting to see how it kind of pans out in the next in the next kind of couple of weeks and stuff. But just a quick one. Everyone who's joined the video, if you could do me a small favour and smash a like, that'd be really, really appreciated. Let's try and see 500 likes on this video. We've got over 500 people in the chat. So if everybody who is watching gives the video a like, we will get that target. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe as well. I've just dropped a link to subscribe in the chat. MUFC Realist says, do you believe in the media agenda? I've seen this movie before. I assume you mean about, all the people saying that INEOS are unhappy. To be honest, I probably do think INEOS are unhappy. I do. I think INEOS took a massive gamble by keeping Erik Ten Hag, and they're hoping that gamble pays off. And I think so far they will be disappointed. They've invested a lot of money in Manchester United this summer. They've bought, what is it, £150 million worth of players? Let me just double check. Let me double check that figure. But the fact of the matter is, INEOS have spent a hell of a lot of money on transfers this summer. Now, I know they sold a lot of players as well, but still, we've invested heavily in this squad, and the goal is always going to be to get Man United back in the Champions League. And what we've done so far in relation to the first 3 games, I mean, that's the kind of form that gets you maybe... I mean, let's try and work it out. Let's work it out quickly. So we've played 3 games. So if we do 38 divided by 3 times by 3. I mean, that's a scary thought. Obviously, this is a little bit of an exaggeration, but let me just explain. So our form so far in the Premier League, right? If we were to continue this form based on 1 win and 2 draws in the first 3 games, at the end of the season, we'd have 38 points. And now, obviously, as I said, we haven't played any of the teams in the bottom 10 of in the bottom half of the table yet. But we've got 3 points in the first 3 games. If you look at that over a whole season, if we were to continue with this form, we would only have 38 points. And when you think that we've still got to play Liverpool away, Chelsea home and away, Man City home and away, Arsenal home and away, Newcastle home and away, Aston Villa home and away. I mean, all of those games there, I'm like, we're probably going to lose. That's like 12 or 13 games there. So effectively, realistically, Manchester United have got to win home and away against all of the teams in the bottom half of the table. If they do that, I think we'll get top 4. And then it kind of doesn't really matter how we do against the Man Cities and the Arsenals and stuff in some ways, because if we can compete, you know, Leicester home and away, Ipswich home and away, Crystal Palace home and away, Southampton home and away, we'll pick up enough points in those games, you know, home and away. Obviously, there's 10 teams in the bottom half. You play each of them twice. So if we were to win all of those games, that would be about 60 points, right? Which would then be enough, I think, to get us into the top 4. Obviously, if you maybe picked up a couple of results against some of the top teams as well. Now, I know that's not a very optimistic way of looking at things, but I think that has to be kind of the goal now, really, because, you know, I look at, say, going away to Newcastle or away to Arsenal or away to Man City or to Liverpool or to Aston Villa, and I'm like, we're going to go into all of those games as the underdog, as the, you know, the team that people think are going to lose. Whereas we have to go into the games against like the Leicesters, the Ipswich, the Southamptons and be like, right, we're going to win this game. We have to win those games. And I think that's what will make or break Erik ten Hag and make or break this season, you know. And obviously the next 4 fixtures will kind of determine that, because obviously we play Southampton away a week on Saturday. Then we play, I think it's Crystal Palace away. Like, we have to win both of those games. We have to. Otherwise, I think INEOS will look at the situation and say, you know what? Top 4's almost gone then. If you don't win those 2 games and you've only got 3 points after 5 matches, you would have to go on an absolutely crazy run to then catch up with the teams in the top 4. You would. Because by that point, those teams will probably be on like 13 points and we'd be on 3. So, yeah, it's a very troubling kind of next month for Manchester United and for Erik ten Hag. MUFC Reader says, but INEOS are equally guilty for negotiating not to pay over the price, and this has cost us 6 points. It's not Ten Hag's fault that the players are not ready. Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. It's a fair point. It's a very fair point. I mean, if you look at it in a more balanced way, I actually think we played well against Brighton. I thought we were decent. And I think we were very unlucky to lose that game. You know, if Xerxes' knee hadn't been 1 inch over the line, we would have won that game, I think. And the Liverpool game, I think, was effectively Casemiro just being terrible. If we'd have beat Brighton and beat Fulham, I think the mood would have been very, very different. But obviously, that's in the past now. We lost those 2 games. So, yeah, I don't know. The fact of the matter is this, right? This is the fact. These next 4 games are so important. And we all know that, right? Would we all agree on that? Erik ten Hag and Manchester United have to get results against Southampton, Palace, Aston Villa, and Tottenham. If we win those 4 games, the mood changes completely. If we don't get results against these teams, then that's when I think it's going to become a problem. And I think that, you know, just because they gave him a 1-year contract extension doesn't mean that they've, you know, 100% backed him. I want Erik ten Hag to succeed at Manchester United. I want him to stay on. I want him to be the man for us. And I think that he is the right man for the job. But football is a results-based game. And I think that these next 4 games are going to effectively determine what INEOS decide to do. Chima says we need another goalkeeper to replace Onana. The thing with me is, right, I always give players 2 seasons. Onana, the first year, started badly. I think he improved a little bit into the second half of the season. But I always give players 2 years. So Onana's going into his second season now. And I think at the end of this season will be when I really judge him. Somebody says, how about we wait until the end of the season to make an informed opinion? Why do we always react after every win or every loss? You're obviously new to this channel, which is fine, but I said just after we'd signed Lenny Yoro, after we'd signed Xerxes, and everyone was like, we're back, we're going to win the league. I thought at that point we were still going to finish 6th to 8th. So I'm not really surprised about any of this, to be honest. So, yeah, I don't really know what to say in relation to that. Like, this isn't me reacting to one loss being like, sack Erik ten Hag, because anybody who watches this channel knows that that's not what I'm like. I'm very realistic about things, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. But I said in the summer, when the mood was up here, everyone was dancing because we'd signed Lenny Yoro, dancing because we'd got Xerxes. And I said, you know what? I still think we'll be lucky to finish 6th to 8th. I still didn't think we'd get top 4. So, yeah, I'm not really surprised at the way the results have gone. Liverpool are title challengers. Brighton have a second in the league. They've just gone and drawn against Arsenal, and we were a knee away from beating them. The reality of the matter is, for me, that I think we've been better this season. I think we have shown improvement. I think the tactics are better. I think we're pressing better. But we've still only won one game, you know? So, yeah, my expectations at the moment, I didn't expect us to beat Liverpool. I don't think I expected us to beat Brighton, and I expected us to beat Fulham. So they've kind of achieved what I was expecting them to achieve so far. So I'm not really very disappointed, to be honest. I'm disappointed. I would love for us to win the league, but yeah, I just think that, you know, these next 4 games, when you look at the table, are the teams that Man United have to be beating. And the fact that there's journalists coming out today, we've got multiple different journalists saying that apparently INEOS are disappointed with the style of play that they've seen so far this season. That's what we're effectively reacting to here. And I think that, you know, going into the next game against Southampton, we have to go and absolutely batter them. You know, we have to. It has to be a big scoreline to kind of show the haters. Because, you know, if you look at the stats and stuff, we've had the most missed chances, the most XG. Like, we are creating chances, we just don't seem to be able to deliver them. Somebody says Bruno is a problem. Why is Bruno a problem? I don't think Bruno's a problem. I like Bruno. He's probably our best player. I mean, if Bruno's a problem, then every other player in our team's a problem, really. I think. Like, Bruno is our best player. He creates the most chances. He probably works the hardest. Like, I just simply don't think that even with the signings we've made, it takes us from 8th place to 2nd or 3rd or 4th. And that's my honest opinion. Stephanie says siege mentality is definitely needed right now. Yeah, 100%. 100%. 100%. Like, you have to go and beat Southampton. I'm sorry. You have to. Jermaine says, why don't we try 3 at the back? I mean, it's a possibility. It's a possibility. It's a lot more defensive. But 3 at the back would be what? Maguire, De Ligt, and Martinez. I mean, I wouldn't be against it. I would not be against it at all. Wandy says, what are your thoughts on INEOS' handling of the Erik ten Hag situation so far? Well, I think the summer was a bit of a mess. Obviously, no one knew whether he was staying or going. But, I mean, they've backed him. They've got good players. They've got players in pretty much every position that we needed. So, yeah, I think INEOS have handled Ten Hag relatively well. Obviously, the whole is the manager going to stay situation was a little bit questionable. Ryan says, to be honest, Ten Hag needs to drop Rashford and play Ahmad. I would agree. I don't really understand how Rashford keeps getting picked over and over again. And this isn't like a blame game. I just think that, you know, Ahmad did really well in the first 2 games and then he gets dropped. So I don't really understand that. But the thing with Rashford is this, right? I like Rashford. And I think that once Rashford gets a goal, he'll start banging them in. That's the thing. That's the problem with Marcus Rashford. He goes hot or cold. As soon as we get him firing, Marcus Rashford will be an asset. It's just getting him firing. That's the problem. And I think Erik ten Hag's looking at Rashford thinking, once I get him going, we will get goals. But it's just getting that goal, that first goal, and then we'll kind of be moving in the right direction. Yes, Study English says, with Mount in the number 10, Manchester United's control was good. Yeah, now he's injured, isn't it? So yeah, it's not good. But I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. You can let me know. I'm still a little bit tired after the weekend. But you can let me know your thoughts on everything in the comment section below. I'm looking forward to football starting again. I hate the international break. It's so boring. But yeah, please make sure to leave a like before you go. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. This has been Daily Red Devil. Have a lovely evening, everybody. And I'll speak to you all tomorrow. Bye for now.